Let me make one thing abundantly clear at the outset of our discussion. When I speak of God ordering your steps, I am not referring to some external deity who manipulates your life like pieces on a chessboard. No. I am speaking of the God who is your own wonderful human imagination, the God who is the very consciousness that dwells within you. For consciousness is the one and only reality, and your consciousness is God in action. Tonight, I wish to share with you how God, your own wonderful human imagination, orders your steps every single day. For once you truly comprehend this principle, you will never again feel lost, abandoned, or at the mercy of chance. You will know with absolute certainty that every event, every encounter, every circumstance in your life is divinely orchestrated by the God within you. Let us begin with a fundamental truth. The world that you perceive is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the contents of your consciousness. As within, so without. Your inner assumptions, beliefs, and feelings are continually being projected outward and solidified into what you call your reality. This is how God orders your steps through the power of your assumptions. Consider for a moment what you assume to be true about yourself, about others, about the world at large. These assumptions, these fixed beliefs, are not mere thoughts. They are creative forces that shape and mold the substance of your experience. When you assume that life is difficult, that people cannot be trusted, that success is beyond your reach, you are, in that moment, ordering your steps toward experiences that will confirm these assumptions. Conversely, when you assume the best, when you dwell in the certainty that you are guided, protected, and divinely supported, you are ordering your steps toward manifestations of these higher truths. This is the law, and the law is God in action. But how, you might ask, does this process unfold in the practical reality of your day-to-day life? Let me illustrate with a simple example. Imagine that you awaken in the morning with a feeling of joy and anticipation. You dwell in the assumption that this day will bring wonderful opportunities and delightful encounters. As you move through your day, you find yourself naturally drawn to certain locations, certain people, certain activities. Perhaps you decide on a whim to take a different route to work, or to visit a cafe you've never been to before. In that cafe, you meet someone who introduces you to an idea or opportunity that perfectly aligns with a desire you've been nurturing in your heart. Was this chance? Was it coincidence? No, my dear friend. It was God ordering your steps. The assumption of joy and opportunity that you embodied in the morning was the divine directive that orchestrated each moment of your day, leading you unerringly to the fulfillment of that assumption. Now let us delve deeper into the mechanism by which God orders your steps. Everything begins with a state of consciousness. A state is a mood, an attitude, a feeling about yourself or life. At any given moment, you are dwelling in a particular state, and from that state, certain behaviors, thoughts, and actions naturally flow. If you are in a state of anxiety, you will think anxious thoughts, notice potential threats in your environment, and take actions designed to protect yourself from perceived danger. If you are in a state of confidence, you will think empowering thoughts, notice opportunities in your environment, and take bold actions aligned with your desires. The key to allowing God to order your steps in a way that leads to the fulfillment of your desires is to consciously choose the state from which you operate. This choice is made not through intellectual decision-making, but through the feeling, the emotion, the conviction that the desired state is already yours. In my own experience, I have witnessed this principle in action countless times. I recall a period in my life when I desired to share these teachings with a wider audience. Instead of striving and struggling to make this happen through external means, I simply assumed the feeling of already being a successful teacher and author, reaching thousands with this message of truth. From that state of fulfilled desire, I found myself naturally taking certain steps, making certain decisions, speaking certain words, all of which led, with what appeared to be miraculous precision, to opportunities that allowed this desire to materialize in my world. But there was no miracle involved, only the perfect, immutable law of consciousness. This law operates with mathematical precision. Just as 2 must equal 4, so must your assumptions, persisted in, crystallize into objective facts in your world. This is how God orders your steps, not through capricious intervention or arbitrary favor, but through the flawless operation of law. But I hear your objection, Neville. If God is ordering my steps, and God is my own wonderful human imagination, why do I experience unwanted events? Why do I encounter obstacles and difficulties? Surely I am not consciously imagining these challenges. The answer lies in what I call your mental diet, the sum total of the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions that you have accepted as true over the course of your life. Many of these were implanted in your consciousness during childhood by well-meaning parents, teachers, and authority figures, and figures also were operating from limited understanding. Others were formed through your interpretation of past experiences. These beliefs and assumptions operate below the threshold of your conscious awareness, silently directing your steps toward experiences that confirm them. This is why self-examination is so crucial. You must become aware of the contents of your consciousness if you would take control of the direction of your life. I tell you now, with absolute conviction, that there is no force outside of your own consciousness that can dictate the course of your life. There is no fate, no luck, no chance that can override the creative power of your assumptions. God, your own wonderful human imagination, orders your steps in perfect accordance with what you accept as true. Let me share with you a principle that has transformed countless lives, the principle of revision. Revision is the art of mentally rewriting past events to align with your desires. If you have experienced something unwanted, you can, in your imagination, revise that event to unfold as you would have preferred. In doing so, you alter not only your memory of the past, but also the trajectory of your future. Why does revision work? Because time as we experience it in this three-dimensional world is an illusion. There is only the eternal now, the present moment in which all possibilities exist simultaneously. When you revise the past in your imagination, you are not pretending or fantasizing, you are actually selecting a different reality from the infinite array of possible realities that exist within your consciousness. Through revision, you cleanse your mental diet of toxic assumptions and beliefs that have been ordering your steps toward unwanted experiences. You replace these with empowering assumptions that will, with the same precision, order your steps toward desired experiences. But perhaps the most profound aspect of God ordering your steps is this: the ultimate purpose behind every event, every encounter, every circumstance in your life is to awaken you to your true identity as God. Everything that happens to you, whether you label it as good or bad, is designed to lead you to this supreme realization. This is why I urge you not to judge the events of your life by appearances. The encounter that seems most challenging may be the very catalyst needed to propel you toward a greater understanding of your divine nature. The disappointment that feels most bitter may be the precise experience required to dissolve a limiting belief that has been holding you captive. God orders your steps not for your comfort, but for your awakening. And in that awakening lies a joy and a freedom that transcends all worldly pleasure and success. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. Sold into slavery by his brothers, imprisoned unjustly, forgotten by those he helped from all outward appearances. Joseph's steps were being ordered towards suffering, yet each of these seemingly tragic events was positioning him precisely where he needed to be to fulfill his ultimate purpose and realize his divine identity. When Joseph finally revealed himself to his brothers, he spoke these profound words: "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good." Joseph recognized that despite the appearances of evil, God was ordering his steps toward a greater good that could not have been accomplished through any other sequence of events. In your own life, can you look back at events that seemed tragic or painful at the time they occurred, only to discover later that they were essential steps leading you toward a greater good? This is the wisdom of hindsight. But I tell you that you need not wait for the passage of time to gain this perspective. You can know right now that regardless of appearances, God is ordering your steps toward your highest good, your complete awakening. But how do you align yourself with this divine orchestration? How do you consciously participate in the ordering of your steps? The answer is both simple and profound. You must live from the end. To live from the end means to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to dwell in the absolute certainty that what you desire is already yours, not as a future possibility, but as a present fact. When you live from the end, you are not trying to make something happen. You are acknowledging what already is in the realm of consciousness, which is the only reality. This principle is beautifully illustrated in Scripture. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. To believe that you receive before you see external evidence is the essence of living from the end. It is the recognition that in consciousness, in imagination, in the only reality that truly exists, your desire is already fulfilled. When you live from the end, God orders your steps with flawless precision toward the manifestation of that end in your three-dimensional experience. You need not concern yourself with the how or the when. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the assumption that your desire is already yours. This fidelity to your assumption is what Scripture calls faith. Faith is not hoping or wishing. It is the conviction of the reality of things not yet seen with the physical eye. It is knowing that what is true in consciousness must by law materialize in experience. I recall a lady who attended my lectures in New York. She desired a specific apartment in a building that had no vacancies. Instead of focusing on the apparent impossibility of her desire, she began to live from the end. Each night before sleep, she would imagine falling asleep in that very apartment, feeling the satisfaction of already living there. She persisted in this assumption for several weeks, never wavering despite the fact that there was no external evidence to support her claim. Then, through a series of events that no human intellect could have planned or predicted, the exact apartment she desired became available, and she was offered the lease. Was this coincidence? No, it was God ordering her steps in perfect alignment with her persistent assumption. The feeling of living in that apartment, which she faithfully maintained in her imagination, was the divine directive that orchestrated every event leading to its physical manifestation. This lady did not have to manipulate circumstances or persuade people. She did not have to plot and plan and struggle. She simply had to assume the feeling of her wish fulfilled, and from that state of fulfillment, God ordered her steps unerringly toward the objective embodiment of her desire. Now, let me address a question that often arises: if God is ordering my steps, and God is my own wonderful human imagination, do I have free will? Am I truly making choices, or is everything predetermined? The answer is both profound and paradoxical. You have absolute freedom to choose the state of consciousness from which you operate. This is your divine right, your divine gift, and no person or circumstance can deprive you of it. However, once you have chosen a state, the thoughts, feelings, actions, and experiences that flow from that state are determined by the nature of the state itself. If you choose a state of wealth consciousness, you will naturally think, feel, and act in ways consistent with that state, and your experiences will reflect this consciousness back to you. If you choose a state of poverty consciousness, your thoughts, feelings, actions, and experiences will likewise align with that choice. This is the true meaning of free will. It is not the freedom to control external events or to manipulate the behavior of others. It is the freedom to choose the state of consciousness from which you observe and interact with the world. And this choice is absolutely determinative of your experience. So you see, God's ordering of your steps is not a limitation of your freedom, but the very mechanism through which your freedom expresses itself. By choosing your state of consciousness, you are essentially instructing God, your own wonderful human imagination, how to order your steps. And this brings us to a vital point. The ordering of your steps is not a process that unfolds only occasionally or in response to specific prayers or intentions. It is happening continuously in every moment of your existence, whether you are conscious of it or not. Your assumptions are constantly being projected outward and returning to you as the experiences of your life. This is why I emphasize the importance of mindfulness, of being attentive to the contents of your consciousness. What are you assuming right now? What state are you dwelling in? The answer to these questions will reveal the direction in which your steps are being ordered. If you find yourself in a state that does not align with your desires, remember that you have the freedom to choose again. You are never locked into any state of consciousness. At any moment, you can shift your assumption and thereby alter the course of your life. But how does one make this shift? It is not through force of will or through positive thinking as it is commonly understood. It is through the art of feeling, of experiencing in imagination the reality of the desired state. To shift from a state of lack to a state of abundance, you must feel the relief, the security, the freedom that abundance would bring. To shift from a state of loneliness to a state of loving relationship, you must feel the joy, the companionship, the intimacy that such a relationship would provide. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the directive that orders your steps toward the manifestation of your desire. And here, my dear friends, we touch upon a mystery so profound that it has eluded the greatest minds throughout human history. The mystery is this: the feeling of the wish fulfilled, persisted in, will order your steps, not only toward the manifestation of that wish, but the transformation of your very being. For the ultimate purpose of existence is not the accumulation of possessions or experiences, as wonderful as these may be. It is the realization of your divine identity, the awakening to the truth that you are God expressing himself as a unique human personality. This awakening is what Scripture calls the birth from above. It is the moment when you no longer believe in God as an external entity, but know yourself to be God in human form. And every event in your life, every step that has been ordered by your assumptions, has been leading you toward this supreme realization. I tell you truly, once you have awakened to your divine identity, you will look back on your life and see that every event, every encounter, every circumstance, whether you labeled it as fortunate or unfortunate, at the time was an assignment for divine orchestration leading you to this awakening. You will see that there were no mistakes, no wrong turns, no wasted experiences. All was perfectly ordered according to the law of consciousness, the law that is God in action. And in that recognition, you will feel a gratitude so profound that it transforms your understanding of the entire human journey. Let me illustrate this with a personal experience. Many years ago, I found myself in a situation that, by all external measures, appeared to be a devastating setback. I had invested considerable time and resources in a venture that failed completely, leaving me in a state of financial uncertainty. In that moment, I had a choice. I could assume that I was a victim of circumstance, that life was unfair, that my steps were being ordered toward hardship and lack. Or I could assume that this apparent setback was actually a divine redirection, ordering my steps toward a greater purpose that I could not yet perceive with my physical senses. I chose the latter assumption, not as a form of positive thinking or wishful optimism, but as a recognition of the law of consciousness that I knew to be true. I lived from the end of having already transcended this temporary challenge and having been led to a greater expression of my purpose. Within weeks, through a series of events that no human intellect could have orchestrated, I was introduced to opportunities that not only resolved the financial situation, but opened doors to share these teachings with audiences I would never have reached had the original venture succeeded. Looking back, I can see with perfect clarity that what appeared to be a setback was, in fact, God ordering my steps with flawless precision toward the fulfillment of my true purpose. And this is true not only in my experience, but in yours as well. Every experience you have ever had, every step you have ever taken, has been perfectly ordered to lead you to this moment, to this understanding, to this opportunity to awaken to your divine identity, and to consciously participate in the ordering of your steps. So how, in practical terms, do you align yourself with this divine orchestration? How do you consciously participate in God's ordering of your steps? Let me offer you specific guidance. First, clarify your desire. What is it that you truly want to experience? Not what you think is possible based on your current circumstances, but what would you choose if you knew that all things were possible to the God within you? Once you have clarified your desire, construct a scene that would imply its fulfillment. This scene should be simple, concise, and imply that your desire is already a reality. Perhaps it is a conversation with a friend in which you share the good news of your desire's fulfillment. Perhaps it is simply the feeling of relief and satisfaction that would accompany the realization of your wish. With your scene constructed, enter into a state of relaxation. This is crucial, for the subconscious mind, which is the creative power of God within you, is most receptive when the conscious mind is temporarily suspended. Just before sleep is an ideal time for this practice, as the transition from wakefulness to sleep naturally bypasses the analytical, critical faculties of the conscious mind. In this relaxed state, enact your scene in imagination. See it clearly, hear the sounds that would accompany it, feel the emotions that would arise from the fulfillment of your desire. Make the scene as vivid and as real as possible, involving all your senses. Most importantly, feel the reality of what you are imagining. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the directive that orders your steps toward the manifestation of your desire. Repeat this practice nightly, or whenever you find yourself in a quiet, receptive state. Do not be concerned with how or when your desire will materialize. Your responsibility is not to figure out the process, but to remain faithful to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. As you go about your daily activities, maintain the assumption that your desire is already a reality in consciousness, which is the only reality. This does not mean denying the evidence of your senses or pretending that conditions are other than they appear to be. It means knowing that appearances are merely shadows, reflections of past assumptions, and that the newly established assumption will, in due course, replace these shadows with the substance of your desire. Throughout your day, whenever doubts or contradictory evidences present themselves, quietly return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Do not fight against negative thoughts or feelings. Simply withdraw your attention from them and redirect it to the assumption of fulfillment. This practice persisted in will order your steps with divine precision toward the manifestation of your desire. You need not concern yourself with the specific actions you should take or the decisions you should make. From the state of fulfilled desire, you will naturally think the thoughts, feel the feelings, and take the actions that lead to its externalization. But remember, the greatest desire, the ultimate purpose toward which all your steps are being ordered, is the realization of your divine identity. Every lesser desire, when fulfilled, is designed to lead you toward this supreme realization. So as you practice this art of conscious assumption, do so not only for the fulfillment of specific desires, but for the awakening to your true self. Assume the feeling, I am God, expressing as this unique human personality. Live from that assumption and watch as your steps are ordered toward experiences that confirm and deepen this truth. In the final analysis, God's ordering of your steps is not about controlling external events or accumulating possessions and experiences, as delightful as these may be. It is about awakening you to who you truly are and have always been, God Himself individualized as you. Every event in your life, every step you have taken, has been leading you toward this supreme realization. And once you have awakened to this truth, you will look back on your journey with profound gratitude, recognizing that all was perfectly ordered according to the divine pattern woven into the very fabric of your being. My dear friends, as we bring this discussion to a close, I want to leave you with a thought so powerful, so transformative, that if you truly embrace it, your life will never be the same. The God who is ordering your steps is not separate from you, is not external to you, is not other than you. The God who is ordering your steps is the very consciousness in which you live and move and have your being. You are that God expressing Himself as this unique human personality, this specific pattern of thinking and feeling and perceiving. And the more fully you embrace this truth, the more consciously you can participate in the ordering of your steps. So I say to you now, with all the conviction of my being, assume a divinity. Live from the certainty that you are God expressing in human form. Feel the peace, the power, the limitless potential that this realization brings. And from that state of divine self-awareness, watch as your steps are ordered with flawless precision toward experiences that reflect and confirm your true identity. Remember, the feeling is the secret. The feeling of being God in human form, of being the divine consciousness that orders all things according to its nature, is the most powerful assumption you can make. Live from that feeling And you will witness a transformation in your life so profound that you will pound in all the perfection with which your steps have been and are being ordered. I thank you for your attention, for your openness to these truths, and for your willingness to test them in the laboratory of your own experience. For that is where all truth must ultimately be verified, not in the realm of theory or belief, but in the lived reality of your daily life. Go now in the awareness of your divine identity and watch as God orders your steps toward the fulfillment of your desires and the realization of your true self. For I tell you truly, as you assume your divinity, as you live from the certainty that you are God expressing in human form, your steps will be ordered with such divine precision that you will look back on this moment as the beginning of a new and glorious chapter in your eternal existence. In the words of Scripture, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Go forth now in the knowledge that you are that Lord, ordering your own steps through the power of your divine imagination. And in that knowledge, in that assumption, in that feeling lies the freedom and the power to create the life you desire to live. Thank you, and good night. You see, most people believe that faith is something they must maintain for days, weeks, months, or even years before they see results. They exhaust themselves trying to hold on to a feeling, struggling to maintain belief when their physical senses scream the opposite. But I tell you tonight that this is not faith at all. This is effort, and effort is the very antithesis of faith. True faith requires no effort, because true faith is the natural confidence in that which already is. Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, for in these next few moments, I will reveal to you how 60 seconds of genuine faith, 60 seconds of the feeling of your wish fulfilled, is infinitely more powerful than 60 years of doubt, struggle, and effort. The moment you truly feel yourself to be what you desire to be, that moment you have impressed upon your subconscious mind the pattern of your fulfillment. That impression, once made with feeling, must and will externalize itself in your world of experience. But what is this faith I speak of? It is not belief in something outside of yourself. It is not hope that some external power will grant your desires. Faith, as I use the word, is your awareness of being that which you desire to be. It is the feeling that your wish is already fulfilled, that what you seek is already yours. When you can capture this feeling, when you can live in this assumption for even 1 minute with complete conviction, you have planted the seed that must grow into the harvest of your desire. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. You are thinking of all the times you have tried to believe, all the times you have attempted to feel differently about your circumstances, only to find yourself back where you started. You remember the moments when you almost felt it, when you almost believed, but then doubt crept in and destroyed your confidence. But I ask you to understand this. Those were not failures of faith. They were lessons in preparation for this moment. When you finally understand what faith truly is, faith is not something you work toward. It is something you step into. It is not something you build up over time. It is something you claim in an instant. The woman who has been trying for years to conceive steps into the feeling of motherhood for 1 minute and feels the joy of holding her child. In that minute of genuine feeling, she impresses upon her subconscious mind the fact of her motherhood, and that impression will externalize as the child she desires. The man struggling with financial lack stops fighting his circumstances and for 1 minute feels the natural ease of abundance. In that minute, he becomes wealthy in consciousness, and that consciousness must and will produce wealth in his experience. You must understand that your subconscious mind does not reason. It does not argue with what you impress upon it. It simply accepts as true whatever you give to it with feeling, and then proceeds to make that assumption a fact in your world. This is why 1 minute of the feeling of fulfillment is worth more than a lifetime of struggle. In that minute, you change the fundamental assumption of your being, and your outer world has no choice but to conform to this new inner conviction. But how do you achieve this feeling? How do you step into the assumption of being what you desire to be? The answer lies in understanding that imagination is the creative power of God in man. Your imagination is not some faculty for daydreaming or fantasy. It is the very mechanism through which you create your reality. When you imagine yourself to be something, when you feel yourself to be something, you are actually becoming that something in the only realm that matters, the realm of consciousness. Tonight, I want you to understand that there is no difference between what you are in imagination and what you are in fact. The difference exists only in time. Imagination is fact in the making. When you imagine yourself healthy, you are healthy in consciousness, and health in consciousness must become health in experience. When you imagine yourself successful, you are successful in consciousness, and success in consciousness must become success in experience. The time between the imaginal act and its physical manifestation is simply the interval required for your assumption to harden into fact. This is why I say that 1 minute of faith can change everything. In 1 minute, you can completely alter your fundamental assumption about yourself and your life. In 1 minute, you can move from the consciousness of lack to the consciousness of abundance, from the consciousness of sickness to the consciousness of health, from the consciousness of failure to the consciousness of success. And once you have made this move in consciousness, once you have truly felt yourself to be what you desire to be, the outer world must conform to this inner change. But let me be very clear about what I mean by faith. I do not mean positive thinking, though faith may appear positive to the observer. I do not mean visualization, though faith may involve the use of imagery. I do not mean affirmation, though faith may express itself in words. Faith is the feeling of being what you want to be. It is the inner conviction that what you desire already exists for you. It is the natural confidence that comes from knowing rather than hoping. When you have faith, you do not think about your desire, you think from it. You do not imagine having what you want. You imagine being who you want to be. You do not hope that your wish will be fulfilled. You feel that it already is fulfilled. This shift from thinking about to thinking from imagining having to imagining being, from hoping to knowing, is the difference between mere wishful thinking and the creative power of faith. Consider the woman who desires love in her life. If she spends her time thinking about love, imagining meeting someone, hoping that romance will come, she remains in the consciousness of one who lacks love. But if she spends 1 minute feeling herself to be loved, feeling herself to be cherished and adored, feeling the warmth and joy of being in a loving relationship, she moves into the consciousness of one who is loved. And from this consciousness, love must appear in her experience because consciousness is the only reality. Or consider the man who desires success in his career. If he spends his time worrying about his future, hoping for opportunities, trying to figure out how success will come, he remains in the consciousness of one who struggles. But if he spends 1 minute feeling himself to be successful, feeling the satisfaction and confidence of achievement, feeling the natural ease of one who has reached his goals, he moves into the consciousness of success. And from this consciousness, success must manifest, because what you are in consciousness, you must become in experience. This is the great secret that most never discover. You do not need to know how your desire will be fulfilled. You do not need to understand the process by which your assumption will become fact. You need only to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. The how is the responsibility of your subconscious mind, which contains infinite wisdom and knows exactly how to bring about whatever you have impressed upon it with feeling. But here's where most people fail. They assume the feeling of their wish fulfilled for a moment, then immediately begin to reason about it. They ask themselves, how will this happen? Where will it come from? What if it doesn't work? The moment they begin to reason from their present circumstances, rather than from their desired state, they have broken the spell of faith and returned to the consciousness they are trying to change. Faith requires that you persist in your assumption regardless of what your senses report. Faith requires that you remain loyal to your unseen reality, even when your seen reality seems to contradict it. Faith requires that you continue to feel yourself to be what you desire to be, even when everything around you suggests otherwise. This is not self-deception. This is the creative process itself. You see, what you call your present circumstances are nothing more than the externalization of your past assumptions. What you see around you today is the outpicturing of what you believed about yourself and your life in the past. If you judge by appearances, if you let your present circumstances determine your faith, you will never change anything because you will continue to create more of the same. But when you understand that circumstances are effects, not causes, you are free to choose new causes through new assumptions. When you realize that your outer world is simply reflecting your inner world, you know that to change the outer, you must first change the inner. And changing the inner requires nothing more than assuming the feeling of being what you want to be and persisting in that assumption until it becomes natural to you. This is why 1 minute of genuine faith is so powerful. In that minute, you step out of the old assumption and into the new. In that minute, you stop being who you were and become who you want to be. In that minute, you plant the seed that must grow into the harvest of your desire. It matters not how long you have been in your present state, how many years you have struggled, how impossible your desire may seem. 1 minute of the feeling of fulfillment can change everything. I have seen this principle work countless times in countless lives. I have seen the barren woman conceive after feeling herself to be a mother for just moments. I have seen the unemployed man find work after assuming the feeling of employment. I have seen the sick healed, the poor made rich, the lonely find love, all through the simple act of assuming the feeling of their wish fulfilled and persisting in that assumption. But you must understand that this is not magic. This is law. This is the law by which all things are created, by which all changes are made, by which all desires are fulfilled. You are not asking for special favors from the universe when you practice this law. You are simply cooperating with the creative principle that is always operating in your life, whether you are conscious of it or not. Every moment of every day, you are creating your future through your assumptions about yourself and your life. Most people create unconsciously, assuming whatever feels natural based on their past experiences and present circumstances. But you have the power to create consciously by deliberately choosing what you assume about yourself and your life. When you assume something new about yourself, when you dare to feel yourself to be what you desire to be, that assumption begins immediately to attract to itself everything necessary for its fulfillment. Your subconscious mind, which is one with the universal creative power, begins to rearrange circumstances, to attract opportunities, to influence people and events in ways that will make your assumption a fact in your experience. But you must give your subconscious mind a clear impression. You must assume your desire with feeling, for feeling is the secret of successful assumption. An assumption without feeling is like a seed without water. It cannot grow into manifestation. But an assumption made with genuine feeling, even if held for only 1 minute, impresses itself so deeply upon your subconscious mind that it must externalize in your world. Now let me address the question that I know is in many of your minds. How do I develop this feeling? How do I assume something that my senses tell me is not true? The answer is through the use of your imagination, but imagination disciplined and directed toward a specific end. Begin by selecting a scene that would naturally occur if your desire were fulfilled. If you desire wealth, imagine yourself doing something that you would naturally do if you were wealthy. If you desire love, imagine yourself in a scene that implies you are loved. If you desire health, imagine yourself doing something that you would do if you were perfectly healthy. The scene should be simple, natural, and imply the fulfillment of your desire. Then, in the quiet of your own mind, enter that scene, see it, feel it, make it as real as possible. But most importantly, feel yourself to be the person who would naturally be in such a scene. Feel the confidence, the joy, the satisfaction, the naturalness of being who you want to be. Continue in this scene until you feel the reality of it. Until for that moment you are convinced that what you are imagining is true. This is faith, not the belief that something will happen, but the feeling that something is happening. Not the hope that you will receive what you desire, but the conviction that you already have what you desire. Not the wish that you will become what you want to be, but the assumption that you already are what you want to be. And here is the beautiful truth that I want you to understand. The moment you feel yourself to be what you desire to be, you are that in the only realm that matters, the realm of consciousness. And what you are in consciousness, you must become in experience. For consciousness is the only reality and everything else is but its shadow. This is why time is irrelevant when it comes to faith. Whether you maintain this feeling for 1 minute or 1 hour makes no difference in terms of the impression made upon your subconscious mind. The impression is complete the moment you feel it completely. What matters is the depth and conviction of your feeling, not the duration of it. Many people make the mistake of trying to maintain their desired feeling constantly, struggling to hold on to it throughout the day. But this very struggle indicates a lack of faith. For when you truly impress something upon your subconscious mind, you can let it go, knowing that it will externalize in its own time and way. You plant a seed in the ground and then leave it alone, trusting the natural process of growth. In the same way, you impress your desire upon your subconscious mind and then live naturally, trusting the creative process to bring it about. But what about the appearance of delay? What about the fact that manifestation doesn't always occur immediately? Understand that your subconscious mind operates in its own time, which is not necessarily clock time. The subconscious mind must first prepare the path, must arrange circumstances, must influence people and events to create the perfect conditions for your desire to manifest. This preparation may take time in the outer world, but it begins the moment you make your impression with feeling. Think of it this way: when you plant a seed in the ground, you do not see immediate results. But beneath the surface, invisible to your eyes, the seed is already responding to the water and nutrients in the soil. It is already beginning the process of growth that will eventually result in the plant you desire. In the same way, when you impress your desire upon your subconscious mind with feeling, invisible forces immediately begin working to bring about its manifestation, even though you may not see evidence of this for some time. This is why persistence is so important, but persistence of the right kind. You do not persist in struggling to maintain your desired feeling. You persist in returning to that feeling when that feeling remember to do so. You persist in living from your assumption rather than from your present circumstances. You persist in thinking of yourself as the person you want to be rather than as the person you appear to be. Every time you return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you reinforce the impression you have made upon your subconscious mind. Every time you think from your desired state rather than about it, you strengthen your new assumption. Every time you act as if your desire is already fulfilled, you build the consciousness from which it must manifest. But let me emphasize again that this is not a matter of pretending or putting on an act. When you truly assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are not pretending to be something you are not. You are recognizing what you truly are. You are stepping into the reality of your fulfilled desire, which exists now in consciousness and must eventually express itself in experience. This is the great revelation that changes everything. What you seek is seeking you. What you desire already exists for you in consciousness, waiting only for your recognition and acceptance. You do not need to create your good. You need only to become aware of it. You do not need to attract your desires. You need only to assume that they are yours. When you understand this, faith becomes effortless. You no longer struggle to believe because you know. You no longer fight to maintain your desired feeling because you rest in the natural confidence of its reality. You no longer worry about how or when your desire will manifest because you are certain that it must manifest. This certainty is not based on evidence from your outer world. It is based on your understanding of the creative principle itself. You know that consciousness is the only reality, that what you are conscious of being you are, and that what you are must express itself in your world of experience. This knowledge gives you the faith to assume any desired state and persist in that assumption until it becomes fact. But faith also requires courage, the courage to assume something new about yourself when everything around you suggests otherwise. It takes courage to feel wealthy when your bank account says you are poor. It takes courage to feel healthy when your body seems sick. It takes courage to feel loved when you appear to be alone. But this courage is justified because you are not ignoring reality. You are choosing which reality to focus upon. You see, there are infinite realities, infinite possibilities, infinite versions of yourself in your life. In one reality, you are exactly as you appear to be now. In another reality, you are everything you desire to be. Both realities exist now in consciousness. The question is not whether your desired reality exists. It does. The question is which reality you will choose to occupy with your feeling and attention. When you feel yourself to be what you desire to be, you move into the reality where that is true. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you shift from the consciousness where your desire is absent to the consciousness where your desire is present. This shift in consciousness is the movement between realities, and this movement is always available to you, always possible, always effective. This is why I tell you that 1 minute of faith can change everything. In 1 minute, you can make the shift from any unwanted reality to any desired reality. In 1 minute, you can move from lack to abundance, from sickness to health, from loneliness to love, from failure to success. The movement is instantaneous because it is a movement in consciousness, and consciousness is not limited by time or space or any other physical constraint. But you must make the movement completely. You cannot stand with 1 foot in your old reality and 1 foot in your new reality. You cannot assume your desire partially or conditionally. You must fully occupy the consciousness of your fulfilled desire, must completely feel yourself to be what you want to be, must entirely give yourself to the assumption of your wish fulfilled. This complete surrender to your assumption is what I mean by faith. It is not belief mixed with doubt, hope mixed with fear, or confidence mixed with uncertainty. It is the wholehearted acceptance of your desired state as your present reality. It is the unreserved feeling of being what you want to be. It is the total conviction that what you have assumed is true. And when you achieve this state, even if only for 1 minute, you have done all that is necessary. You have impressed your desire so deeply upon your subconscious mind that it must externalize. You have shifted so completely into the consciousness of your fulfilled desire that you must experience its manifestation. You have planted the seed so perfectly in the fertile soil of your subconscious that it must grow into the harvest you seek. From that point forward, your only responsibility is to remain faithful to your assumption. Not faithful in the sense of struggling to maintain a feeling, but faithful in the sense of living from your new assumption rather than from your old one. When thoughts arise that contradict your assumption, gently return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When circumstances seem to deny your assumption, remember that circumstances are effects, not causes, and effects must change to match new causes. This is the patience of faith, not the patience of waiting for something to happen, but the patience of one who knows that what they have assumed must happen. It is the patience of the farmer who has planted his seed and now simply tends his field, knowing that harvest time will come. It is the patience of the mother who carries her child, knowing that birth is inevitable. With this understanding, you can approach any desire with confidence, no matter how impossible it may seem, no matter how long you have been without it, no matter what others may say about its likelihood. You know that 1 minute of the feeling of its fulfillment is enough to set the creative process in motion. You know that your assumption made with feeling must externalize as fact in your world. This is the promise I make to you tonight. If you will dare to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, if you will persist in that assumption until it feels natural, if you will remain faithful to your new concept of yourself, regardless of appearances, you will see that assumption become fact in your experience. Not because I say so, but because this is the law by which all things are created and by which all desires are fulfilled. You are the operant power in your world. You are the creative force in your experience. You are the one who determines what you will be and have and experience through your assumptions about yourself and your life. This is not a power you must develop. It is a power you already possess and are already using, consciously or unconsciously, every moment of your life. The only question is whether you will continue to use this power unconsciously, creating by default based on your past experiences and present circumstances, or whether you will begin to use it consciously, creating by design based on your desires and intentions. The choice is yours, and the power to make that choice is available to you right now, in this very moment. So I challenge you tonight, choose one desire, one wish, one dream that you want to see fulfilled in your life. Now, for the next minute, assume the feeling of that wish fulfilled. Feel yourself to be what you desire to be. Enter into the joy, the satisfaction, the naturalness of having what you want. Make it real in your imagination, but more than that, make it real in your feeling. Do not think about how it will happen, or when it will happen, or whether it will happen. Simply feel that it is happening, that it has happened, that in the realm of consciousness, it is already complete. Give yourself completely to this feeling for one full minute. And in that minute, plant the seed that must grow into the harvest of your desire. This is faith, the faith that moves mountains, the faith that makes all things possible, the faith that transforms dreams into realities. And this faith is not reserved for the special few. It is available to anyone who will dare to assume the feeling of their wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption until it becomes fact. You have within you right now everything you need to begin creating the life you desire. You have imagination to conceive it, feeling to impress it upon your subconscious mind, and faith to persist in your assumption until it manifests. What more could you possibly need? What else could you possibly want? The time for excuses is over. The time for doubt is over. The time for waiting is over. The power is yours. The method is simple. And the result is certain. All that remains is for you to use this power, to apply this method to claim your result. 1 minute of faith, my friends, 1 minute of the feeling of your wish fulfilled. 1 minute of complete assumption that what you desire is already yours. That is all it takes to begin the process that will transform your entire life. That is all it takes to move from where you are to where you want to be. That is all it takes to turn your dreams into your reality. Will you give yourself that minute? Will you dare to assume what you desire? Will you have the faith to feel yourself to be what you want to be? The choice is yours, the power is yours, and the moment is now.
My dear friends, the topic of our discourse is mindset is everything. And I assure you, this is not mere rhetoric or empty motivation. What I'm about to share with you is the very essence of creation, the foundation of reality itself. Let us begin by understanding what we mean by mindset. Your mindset is not simply your thoughts or your attitudes. It is the very state of consciousness from which you operate. It is the I am that precedes all manifestation. When we say mindset is everything, we are declaring a fundamental truth of the universe. Consciousness is the only reality. Now, I want you to listen closely, for this understanding is crucial. Your outer world, every circumstance and condition of your life is nothing more than the outpicturing of your inner world. The world you see and experience is a reflection, a shadow of your state of consciousness. This is why your mindset, your state of being, is everything. Consider for a moment the biblical phrase, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This word, this logos, is not separate from you. It is your very consciousness, your I am. When you declare I am, you are invoking the creative power of the universe. Your mindset, your state of consciousness, is this word made flesh. Let me illustrate this principle with a simple example. Imagine two individuals facing the same external circumstance. Let's say the loss of a job. The first individual, operating from a mindset of lack and limitation, might think, I am unemployed. I am a failure. I will never find another job. This becomes their state of consciousness, the I am. And the outer world, being a perfect reflection of this inner state, will conform to confirm this belief. Now consider the second individual. They face the same external event, but their mindset, their state of consciousness is entirely different. They might declare, I am in transition. I am open to new opportunities. I am capable and valuable. This becomes their I am, and the outer world must, by law, reflect and confirm this state of consciousness. You see, my dear friends, your mindset is not just a passive observer of reality. It is the active creator of your reality. Your state of consciousness is the cause, and the world you experience is the effect. This is why mindset is everything. Now, let us delve deeper into this principle. Many of you might be wondering, if my mindset creates my reality, why do I experience circumstances that I do not consciously desire? This is a crucial question, and its answer lies in understanding the nature of consciousness itself. Your consciousness, your mindset, operates on multiple levels. There's your surface consciousness, your waking thoughts and desires. But beneath this lies your deeper consciousness, your habitual state of being, often shaped by years of accumulated beliefs and assumptions about yourself and the world. It is this deeper state of consciousness, this habitual mindset, that truly shapes your reality. You might consciously desire wealth, but if your deeper mindset, your habitual state of being, is one of lack and limitation, it is this deeper state that will be made manifest in your outer world. This is why simply thinking positive thoughts or making affirmations is not enough to change your reality. You must go deeper. You must change your very state of being, your fundamental mindset about yourself and the world. How do we accomplish this? How do we change our deepest mindset, our habitual state of consciousness? The answer lies in the power of imagination. Your imagination is not mere fantasy or daydreaming. It is the very workshop of creation. When you imagine, you are engaging the creative power of the universe. Because none of the words of William Blake. What is now proved was once only imagined. Everything in your world, from the chair you sit on to the most advanced technology, was once only a state of consciousness, an imagined reality, before it became a tangible fact. This is the secret of changing your mindset, of transforming your reality. You must use your imagination to create a new state of consciousness, a new mindset, and then occupy that state as if it were already a fact. This is what I mean when I speak of living from the end. Let me give you a practical example. Suppose you desire financial abundance, but your current mindset, your habitual state of consciousness is one of lack and struggle. To change this, you must create a new state of consciousness, a new mindset of abundance. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself in a state of financial abundance. See yourself living in the home of your dreams, engaging in work that you love, enjoying the freedom and security that comes with true abundance. But don't just see it, feel the joy, the gratitude, the sense of ease and fulfillment that comes with this state of being. Here's the crucial part. You must occupy this state, this mindset of abundance, as if it were already a fact. You must live from this state in your imagination until it becomes your new habitual state of consciousness. Remember, your imagination is not creating the reality. It's creating the new state of consciousness, the new mindset from which your new reality will naturally flow. This principle applies to every aspect of your life. Whatever you desire to be, do, or have, you must first create it as a state of consciousness, a mindset, and then occupy that state as if it were already a fact. This is the true meaning of faith. The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. How can I pretend to be something I'm not? My dear friends, let me assure you, this is not deception. This is the deepest truth of your being. You are not pretending to be something you're not. You are claiming your true identity as a creative being made in the image and likeness of God. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. When you assume a new state of consciousness, when you adopt a new mindset, you are not lying to yourself. You are aligning yourself with a deeper truth, a truth that already exists in the infinite realm of possibility. Consider the words of Jesus. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it would be yours. This is not a promise of future fulfillment. It is a statement of present fact. When you truly believe, when you fully occupy the state of consciousness, the mindset of having received your desire, it is yours. The outer world must conform to this inner reality. Now let us address a common misconception. Many people believe that changing their mindset, their state of consciousness, should result in instant changes in their outer world. While this can sometimes happen, more often there is a period of transition, what I call the interval of time. This interval does not negate the truth of your new state of consciousness. It is simply the time it takes for the outer world to rearrange itself to match your new inner reality. During this time, it is crucial that you maintain your new mindset, your new state of consciousness. Do not be swayed by appearances. Remember, the outer world is the effect, not the cause. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. You don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You water it, you nurture it, and you trust in the natural process of growth. The same is true of your new mindset. Once you have planted the seed of your new state of consciousness, nurture it with your continued assumption and trust in the natural law of manifestation. This brings us to another crucial aspect of mindset: persistence. Your new state of consciousness, your new mindset, must be maintained consistently. It's not enough to imagine your desired reality once and then return to your old state of consciousness. You must persist in your new state until it becomes your natural, habitual mindset. This persistence is what separates those who truly transform their lives from those who merely dabble in positive thinking. It requires discipline, faith, and a deep understanding of the creative power of consciousness. But I assure you, the rewards are beyond measure. Now, let us address a question that often arises when discussing the power of mindset. Many ask, if my consciousness creates my reality, am I responsible for everything in my life, including the negative experiences? This is a profound question, and its answer requires a deep understanding of the nature of consciousness. Firstly, understand that much of your current reality is the result of past states of consciousness, mindsets that you may have occupied without full awareness. We are all on a journey of awakening, of becoming increasingly conscious creators of our reality. Secondly, remember that your individual consciousness is part of a larger collective consciousness. You are not an island, but a wave in the vast ocean of universal consciousness. While your individual mindset is incredibly powerful, it also interacts with the collective mindset of humanity. However, this does not diminish your creative power. It simply means that your mindset, your state of consciousness, determines how you experience and interact with the collective reality. Two people can face the same external circumstance and have entirely different experiences based on their individual mindsets. This understanding should not lead to guilt or self-blame for past experiences, but rather to empowerment. Knowing that your mindset creates your reality means that you have the power to change your reality by changing your mindset. This is true freedom. Let us now explore how this understanding of mindset as the creator of reality applies to various aspects of life. Take, for example, your relationships. Many people believe that they are at the mercy of others' behaviors and attitudes. They think, if only my partner would change, then I would be happy. But remember, your experience of others is a reflection of your own state of consciousness, your own mindset. If you consistently experience difficult relationships, look within. What is your mindset about relationships? You believe that love is scarce, that people always let you down, that you're not worthy of love. To change your relationship experiences, you must first change your mindset about relationships. Imagine yourself in loving, fulfilling relationships. Feel the joy, the connection, the mutual respect. Occupy this state of consciousness as if it were already a fact. As you persist in this new mindset, you will find your outer world of relationships transforming to match your inner reality. The same principle applies to your career and financial situation. Many believe that their income is determined by external factors, the economy, their employer, their level of education. But I tell you, your financial reality is a direct reflection of your mindset about money and success. If you consistently struggle financially, examine your mindset. Do you believe that money is scarce? That you have to work hard for every penny? That wealth is for others but not for you? These beliefs, these states of consciousness are creating your financial reality. To change this, you must adopt a new mindset, a new state of consciousness regarding money and success. Imagine yourself in a state of abundance, Feel the freedom, the security, the joy of financial prosperity. Live from this state in your imagination until it becomes your natural mindset. As you do this, you will find your outer world rearranging itself to match this new inner reality. Now let's address the realm of health and well-being. Many believe that their health is determined solely by genetics, diet, and external factors. While these play a role, I tell you that your health is primarily a reflection of your state of consciousness, your mindset about health in your body. If you constantly experience health issues, look at your mindset. Do you believe that your body is fragile, that illness is inevitable as you age, that you're at the mercy of every germ and virus? These beliefs, these states of consciousness are shaping your health reality. To transform your health, you must adopt a new mindset, a new state of consciousness regarding your body and well-being. Imagine yourself in a state of vibrant health. Feel the energy, the vitality, the joy of a body in perfect balance. Occupy this state as if it were already a fact. As you persist in this new mindset, you will find your body responding, aligning itself with this new inner reality. Now I want to address a common concern. Many of you might be thinking, but Neville, I've tried positive thinking before and it didn't work. My dear friends, what I'm sharing with you goes far beyond mere positive thinking. This is about fundamentally shifting your state of being, your very identity. Positive thinking often remains at the surface level of consciousness, like trying to calm the waves on top of the ocean. What we're discussing is diving deep into the ocean itself, changing the very currents that create the waves. This is why I emphasize the importance of feeling, of experiencing your desired state as if it were already a fact. It's not enough to think about what you want. You must become it in your imagination. You must feel the naturalness of it, the reality of it, until it becomes your dominant state of. Remember, your subconscious mind, which is the true creator of your reality, does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience in the outer world. When you consistently occupy a state in your imagination, feeling its reality, your subconscious accepts it as fact and proceeds to bring it into your outer reality. This is the true power of mindset. It's not about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts. It's about choosing a new state of being and occupying it so fully in your imagination that it becomes your new reality. Now let us address another crucial aspect of mindset. Your concept of self. Your fundamental beliefs about who you are, what you're capable of, and what you deserve form the core of your mindset. These beliefs shape every aspect of your life experience. Many of you are walking around with a concept of self that was given to you by others, your parents, your teachers, your society. You've accepted these beliefs about yourself without question, and they've become the foundation of your mindset, the lens through which you view and experience the world. But I tell you, you have the power to choose your concept of self. You are not bound by the limitations others have placed upon you, or even the limitations you've placed upon yourself in the past. You can, at any moment, decide to adopt a new concept of self. This is what it means to be made in the image and likeness of God. You have the divine power of self-definition. You can declare, I am, and whatever follows the declaration becomes your reality. This is the ultimate creative power of mindset. So I ask you, who do you choose to be? What concept of self will you adopt? Will you continue to accept a limited, fearful, or unworthy concept of self? Or will you claim your divine birthright and declare yourself to be the magnificent, powerful, worthy being that you truly are? Remember, this is not about ego arrogance. This is about aligning yourself with the truth of your being. You are divine creation endowed with infinite potential. Your mindset, your concept of self should reflect this truth. As you adopt this elevated concept of self, this empowering mindset, you will find your outer world transforming to match this inner reality. Opportunities will appear, relationships will improve, abundance will flow, because the outer must always conform to the inner. Now let us discuss the practical application of this understanding. How do you go about changing your mindset, your state of consciousness in a way that truly transforms your reality. The key lies in what I call the law of assumption. This law states that if you assume a state and persist in that assumption, it must become your reality. This is not wishful thinking or idle fantasy. This is a fundamental law of consciousness. To apply this law, you must first clearly define the state you wish to occupy. What is the mindset? The state of consciousness that would naturally result in the life you desire. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Feel it. Experience it as vividly as you can in your imagination. Then you must assume this state. You must step into it fully in your imagination, occupying it as if it were already your reality. Feel the naturalness of it. Experience the emotions that would accompany the state. It is a practical technique. Before you fall asleep at night, imagine a scene that would imply your desired state has become your reality. Perhaps it's a congratulatory conversation with a friend, or simply looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing the confident, successful person you desire to be. Make this scene as vivid and real as possible. Feel it. Experience it fully. As you fall asleep in this state, you are impressing this new reality upon your subconscious mind. Remember, your subconscious does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is actually experienced in the outer world. By falling asleep in this state, you are planting the seed of your new reality in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. Repeat this process night after night. During your waking hours, whenever you think of your desire, return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Live from the assumption that what you desire is already a fact. Now, here's where many people falter. They do this for a day or two, and when they don't see immediate results in their outer world, they give up. They return to their old mindset, their old state of consciousness. But remember what we said about the interval of time. Your outer world may take some time to rearrange itself to match your new inner reality. This is where persistence becomes crucial. You must maintain your new state, your new mindset, regardless of appearances. Remember, the outer world is the effect, not the cause. Persist in your assumption, and the outer world must eventually conform. This persistence requires faith. Not blind faith, but faith based on understanding. Faith in the law of consciousness. Faith that your inner world is the true reality, and that the outer must conform to the inner. As you persist in your new state, you will begin to see signs of your new reality manifesting in your outer world. These may be small at first, chance comment from a friend, an unexpected opportunity, a shift in how people respond to you. These are confirmations that your new mindset is taking root, that your new reality is beginning to manifest. Do not disregard these signs, no matter how small they may seem. They are the first fruits of your new state of consciousness, the early evidence that your mindset is indeed everything. As you continue to persist in your new state, as you maintain your new mindset with unwavering faith, you will witness a complete transformation of your reality. The person you have imagined yourself to be will become the person you are in every aspect of your life. Your relationships, your career, your health, your finances, all will align with your new state of consciousness. This is the ultimate proof that mindset is everything. It is the foundation of your reality, the source of all creation in your world. Remember, my dear friends, you are the operant power in your world. Your mindset, your state of consciousness, is the creative force that shapes your entire existence. Choose it wisely, persist in it faithfully, and watch as your world transforms to match the grandeur of your inner vision. For truly, mindset is everything.